Before we start, if you have a cell phone or BlackBerry, if you would please turn it off, put it on vibrate. If anyone is in attendance for any decision on the discussion of the Senate Bill 236 tier maps, the board is not taking any action this evening on that. The board is going to meet with the Rural County Coalition, which I believe is scheduled for October 8th. If you'd like to sign in to speak, there's a sign-in sheet up front. With that, we'll stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, members of the board, in front of us we have the approval of the minutes for September 4th, 2012, the commissioner meeting minutes. If you had an opportunity to read the minutes, we'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes. Okay, motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Again, in front of us we have minutes from September 4th, 2012, the rezoning hearing minutes, and we'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion for approval. Do we have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none? I'm sorry.
I was reviewing the rezoning hearing, and I don't know if it's significant. Mr. Herzog had testified that the property had changed from SR and AR, and it had changed to SR in 1990. Eric, do you know what the history of this property is? Is that correct?
It was from 1993 to 2011. It was suburban residential.
So it was after they purchased it that it changed to SR.
Right from 79 to 93, it was agricultural residential. Just regular agricultural residential.
And I'm
then
not
from 62 to 79 and 70.
I think that's pretty relevant that we include that in the minutes.
Well, was it part of the testimony? That's the thing, you can't add anything to the minutes if it's, was it part of the discussion at the?
Yes, I
Okay.
listened to Mr. Herzog's testimony again tonight, because I thought that was very interesting when he had pointed out. Just to be correct then, Eric, it's,
I can give it to Katie if
Yes.
you want. She can have it.
I'd rather change this correctly, so I'll request that we actually postpone the adoption of these
Okay,
minutes.
I think it's covered in the second to the last paragraph. And as I recall, there was a history of the zoning on this property, as Director Sentrum provided to the board. So it may have been repeated by Mr. Herzog, but I do remember it was mentioned by the staff.
Eric, was that included in your testimony?
I remember.
I know, I don't remember Director Sentrum saying
Well, we
that.
have-
It stood out to me when
I have to go
Charles
back and listen to the
Herzog.
audio again, to be honest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have a first and second. Do we want to vote or do we want to postpone until the next? Well, we have a first and second. We have all in favor of the minutes? Okay, opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion, minutes carried, 4-1. Okay, we'll go to the treasurer's report. Treasurer Field.
Mr. President, Commission of Citizens, this cash report is as of August 31st, 2012. At the end of August, we had approximately $61,361,000 in net operating cash and cash equivalents. This is a decrease of $3,228,000 from last month. In August, we had total receipts of $16,958,000 and disbursements of $32,011. We had approximately $1,869,000 outstanding in those receivable and advances. Our portfolio earned averages between 0.13 and 0.5 in August. Our average MLGIP return was 0.13%, which is lower than last month. We had 4.5% of our portfolio in MLGIP, 32% in CDs and CDORs, and 57% in money market funds. Our returns on these investments are better than the state national averages. We have earned $57,068 in interest revenue through August. This is 18% of our budget. We have $3,432,850 remaining from our 2010 bond issue and $12,713,795 remaining from our 2012 bond issue. We have approximately $36,169,000 or 38% outstanding on our real property tax levy for this year. This is 6% less than August of 2011. The total taxes outstanding are $37,310,000. We received an income tax payment from the state in August in the amount of $1,079,873. Our income tax receipts are 6.36% higher this year than last, or $2,977,000 higher. Our next income tax receipt will be at the end of September 2012. The county has received $392,630 in revenue from the Perryville Casino for August. This is 14.9% of the budget. The amount for August has been reported by the state but not yet permitted. Perryville share is $211,416 for August. And I'd like to make a public service announcement at this moment, if I may. I just would like to remind everyone that the homeowner tax credit applications for this year must be filed by December 31st in order for the credit to be applied to your tax bill for this year. And that is my report.
Thank you. Members of the board, do you have any questions of Treasurer Feely before we entertain a motion to accept Treasurer's report?
Treasurer Feely, do you know how many income tax payments we've received for this fiscal year, and are they ahead or behind last year?
We have received all of our tax payments for this past fiscal year. And we are...
No, I'm talking about the current fiscal year.
We haven't gotten any yet.
None.
No. Those are coming in next month. September will be our first month of this fiscal year. But in light of your monthly questions, because you always ask me if there's any anomalies.
I was waiting on that one.
We have approximately $9 million more at the end of August than we did August of last year. And approximately $6 million of that is from our real estate tax collections being up. And the other $3 million is the increase in our state tax distribution. So I think that's pretty significant.
The real estate tax collection is just ahead of schedule. It's not more taxes, it's ahead of payment of the prior year.
Right, we're almost 30 days on a cash flow side for real estate taxes ahead of last year.
More people took advantage of the discount period than last year.
Because last year our total discounts were $900,000, and this year we're over $1 million.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to accept the Treasurer's report as written. As read, excuse me. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to the introduction items. The Director Fleming.
Mr. President, members of the board, I've got one item for introduction at tonight's meeting. That is an easement agreement between the Cecil County Board of Education and the Board of County Commissioners, granting to the Board of County Commissioners a perpetual easement on a portion of the Cherry Hill Middle School site for the construction, operation, and maintenance of a salt barn to be our salt storage facility for use by the Roads Division of the Cecil County Department of Public Works. And it's being introduced this evening with the intent that it would be on your agenda for a vote at your October 2nd meeting.
Members of the board, anybody have any questions of Director Flanagan?
Just think it's a good partnership.
Very good, thank you, sir. Let's see, we'll move on to the resolution, the amendments to the Cecil County Pension Plan for Public Safety Employees. Mr. Wine, one hand up.
Mr. President, members of the board, for introduction this evening is the Fifth Amendment to the Cecil County Pension Plan for Public Safety Employees, which proposes to make certain administrative changes to the plan which conform to certain requirements of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, and also as presented by Mr. Whiteford this morning, also Mr. Feely, members of the Pension Board of Trustees. This will be before you at your next meeting for adoption.
Okay, thanks, sir. And members of the board have any questions of Mr. Wine at this time? Okay, and then we have a resolution to grant consent to the transfer of control of cable television franchisee Atlantic Broadband. Mr. Wilson handled that this morning. We want to handle that one tonight too?
Mr. President, members of the commission, this is an introductory item for their broadband. Atlantic Broadband is requesting our consent to a transfer of our franchise agreement to Cogeco Cable Inc. It is a Canadian company that has purchased the stock, has entered in a stock purchase agreement with Atlantic Broadband Delmar. They will be taking over the franchise, but Atlantic Broadband will be the one that will be still the franchisee and still operating, but they'll be operating under Cogeco Cable Inc.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Members of the board, any questions of Mr. Wilson on that? Again, we'll take a vote on that on October 2nd. And I was remiss on the agenda here. We did not have commissioner comments, so we'll tackle that issue right now. Commissioner Moore.
No comments tonight other than just to welcome you all here.
Thank you. Commissioner Bruman.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill.
Sure, thanks for coming out in the storm. Look forward to hearing. Commissioner Hawk.
I'd just like to say that the commissioners are still seriously considering the action that we have to take regarding the Senate Bill 236. We're not going to rush the decision. We're going to be meeting with other counties on October 8th to discuss what their efforts are. And hopefully sometime after that, we'll get back together and discuss our options. And we will put a plan of action together later in October.
Okay, thank you. And in closing, I have nothing either. With that, we'll move on to public comment. Mr. Wine.
Vernon and Tone.
Yeah, I think so. I've got a pretty strong voice. I came out concerning Senate Bill 236 and had some thoughts and comments that I wanted to make, but as you're moving to delay that process, I think I'll go ahead with my comments. To just give you my feelings about it, and then I guess I'll have to follow up on what your next meeting is. My name is Vernon Tone. I live at 60 Rolls Lane in Northeast Maryland. I'm a 66-year life resident of Cecil County. I really have no desire to thank our paid representatives tonight for the opportunity to be here. It's my opinion, it's your obligation to keep us informed and provide for us the best representation that you can, because you ran for office. However, I'd like to thank and congratulate my fellow citizens for being proactive in holding down government abuse of our rights. Thank you all. My comments are only to provide other citizens with my observations over many years. Since the 1950s, there have been a small number of individuals that come together every few years to create a comprehensive plan, now a state mandate. Within that group, each time there have been a small number of individuals that press hard to have their personal agendas fulfilled. These individuals have little or no concern for the financial impact that regulation may have on others. They live for their agenda. For the most part, they have concerns that most of the citizens of Maryland lack the foresight to protect our environment. The same group objects to development. They don't want any development within their backyard, regardless of who owns the property. They don't want development in their backyard. In November of 2001, I came to work for Cecil County Public Works. Within a short time, a discussion of comprehensive plan was had as a result of public inquiries. The key point was advice of the Department of Legal Counsel that the comprehensive plan is not law. Rather than regulators stumbling blindly forward at this, it is an informative plan established to assist government agencies in the insightful implementation of private and public development. It is clear there has always been a group of individuals that have pushed for a comprehensive plan to be considered law. I had been employed by the county for several months when I received a call from a lady in the office of one of our local legislative representatives. The lady asked for an appointment to discuss a constituent's concerns. The proposed adjustments, proposed adjacent development was not consistent with the comprehensive plan. I met with the lady who insisted that the comprehensive plan was law and the Department of Public Works was not fulfilling their legal obligations. I informed her that we had obeyed the law and allowed development as per Cecil County and Maryland Code. After trying to intimidate me, the lady stormed from my office. She later called our office and attempted to intimidate my supervisor. He was unwavering. She is now one of our county commissioners. It should be advised that a similar philosophy has been expressed by several of the individuals taking leadership roles in the development of our most recent comprehensive plan. If we allow a restrictive tier map to be submitted and approved by the state, further requests for development on property classified as tier 3 and 4 of any kind will be automatically required a costly submittal to the state planning department. Middle-class families, and I deplore that term, are already being driven from the rural areas of the county as a result of regulatory costs, causing a distinct change in our rural character. We're driving these people out of the rural area. I applaud Commissioner Hyde for his in-depth thinking. Do not allow the state to draw our tier map. Give them only land in existing preservation agreements and parklands in tier 3 and 4 maps. Do not give the state say over our plan submittals. Let the state bring the fight to us. Cecil is already nicknamed Cecil Tucky. Let us be known as the Don't Tread on Me County. Resist taking of personal property rights with intelligence, not emotion. In my experience...
Can I get you to wrap up, sir?
Yeah, you haven't got many speakers tonight, so...
Well, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to be courteous.
Yeah, I know. We try to do that when we don't want to hear the truth.
Well, that's a cheap shot. I don't think
well, maybe there's some people that deserve one, okay? You take it the way you see it. But the unfortunate part is, there's always been a group that looks to force something down the citizens' throats of Cecil County and create additional bureaucracy and expense to the development process. The development costs currently within this county are outrageous just by regulation alone. Just what I heard Ms. Moore talk about the city. They want to make it prohibitive to live outside of Baltimore City so that you have to live there. So, I mean, it's time for the people to decide that the spotted horse has been here for a long time and that the spotted horse's spots never change. There's a faction within this county It probably helped write the Senate Bill 236. Thank you.
Ron Lopez.
Sorry?
Ron Lopez, Elkton, Maryland. I was at the commissioners' meeting last week when the subject was brought up about the bridge over Old Elk Neck Road. And I thought that issue was already put to rest. But why I'm here today is I want to address Commissioner Hodge. I noticed at that meeting you have reclused yourself from voting on that. I want to ask you not to be intimidated by anybody who feels that they need to tell you you should not be voting on that issue. We elected you to make decisions because we think you're well qualified. And we do think you make good decisions. There's a good chance you could be re-elected again. Make those decisions. I don't care whether you choose to build that bridge or not, but make that decision. I think that's your right, and that's why we put you in there. I saw Commissioner Brumell be, I guess you were a founder of CLUA and also a vice president of CLUA. I see that as a special interest all on its own, yet I don't see you reclusing yourself from any of the decisions with SB 236. And there is a special interest involved there. It may not be money, but it is a special interest in your own little club. So I'm not asking you to recluse yourself, but I'm asking Commissioner Hodge also not to recluse yourself. Also, I noticed something that was brought up in that meeting, in that Commissioner Dunn had changed his mind on that bridge. You said you made a mistake. You weren't sure. And if I'm out of order here, please correct me. I thought that you had said you made a mistake, that you were not aware that it was a two-lane bridge that you voted for and you wanted to change your vote. I don't know that I don't know that you should be able to do that. I mean, I'd like to change my vote on some of the people that I elected during the last election, and probably thousands of other people would too, because they may not be happy with the performance of some of the people who were elected. And I just feel if you make a vote, it's done. Anyway, I want to thank you always for the fine job that you do, and Commissioner Brumell, I didn't mean to offend you, but see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to the appointments. Mr. Wine.
Mr. President, members of the board, there are 4 appointments for your consideration this evening. The first is with the Economic Development Commission. It's being recommended Michael R. Lara serve a 3-year term.
Okay, members of the board, you heard Mr. Wine read the recommendation for the Economic Development Commission, Michael R. Lara, for a new appointment for a 3-year term to expire September 18th, 2015.
Mr. President, I don't have any objections to Mr. Lara, but our process for all appointees has been that we received some information about the candidate, and in this particular case, I don't believe that we did. So I would like that to be consistent with the rest of the process for appointees and receive some information about Mr. Lara.
Would you like to make a motion to?
I would like to make a motion to postpone this appointment until we receive information about Mr. Lara.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, we'll postpone until the next evening meeting. How's that? Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. Warren.
With the Board of Parks and Recreation, it's being recommended George Raley be considered for a new appointment, and also Matthew Morris.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Both 3-year terms.
Okay, members of the board, you heard Mr. Wine read Mr. George Raley as a new appointment for a 3-year term to expire on September 18, 2015. Parks and Rec. Board.
Mr. President, I would move that the Board of Commissioners approve George Raley and Matthew Morris as new members of the Board of Parks and Recreation Board beginning September 18th, expiring September 18th, 2015.
Okay, thanks, sir. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have Mr. Matthew Morris as a new appointment for a 3-year term to expire.
No.
Oh, you did both?
We did both.
Okay, that's fine. All right, we did both, so both are approved. Mr. Wine.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's being recommended that Winston L. Robinson be selected for a 3-year appointment to the Public Safety Pension Plan Board.
Okay, we'll entertain entertain a motion to appoint Winston L. Robinson to a 3-year term to expire September 18, 2015 to the Public Safety Pension Plan Board.
Mr. President, I move that we appoint Winston L. Robinson as a new appointment to the Public Safety Pension Plan Board for a 3-year term to expire September 18, 2015.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Rezoning 2012-04, Mr. Central.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. The next item on your agenda concerns the 48.63 acres at 63 Rosemont Farm Lane in Port Deposit. The request before you is to rezone the property from its present designation of northern agricultural residential to low-density residential. This was before the Planning Commission at their August meeting, and you heard the testimony at your September 4th meeting. The staff had recommended disapproval due to no demonstrated change in the neighborhood since the last comprehensive rezoning, nor a demonstrated mistake in that comprehensive rezoning. The Planning Commission has forwarded a recommendation of approval based on a mistake in the 2011 comprehensive rezoning, and it is in for your action this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Central. Members of the board, you heard Mr. Central read the background and the recommendations of staff and then the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and we'll entertain a motion on this rezoning 2012-04.
Mr. President, I would move to approve the rezoning based on a mistake in the comprehensive rezoning.
Okay, there's a motion for approval. Do we have a second? Okay. Motion dies for lack of a second. We'll entertain a new motion.
Mr. President, I move for disapproval of the request.
Okay, we have a motion for disapproval. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, this is difficult because when they had testified that their property had lost significant value, and they originally testified that the property they purchased in '89 was SR at that time, and hearing from Eric that it was actually NAR at the time of the purchase. It changed in '93. But the facts of the case with a rezoning, it has the potential of changing the character of the neighborhood with a half-mile radius. And the basis for the Planning Commission saying that a mistake was made is inconsistent with planning and zoning, with the staff's recommendations that there was no mistake made. I think, we're opening ourselves up to a lawsuit if we were to approve, and the process is clear.
Just one other comment too, and something that very much concerned me about this, and I know in the past, we expect the public to figure out that there's a rezoning process going on, and we expect the public to be aware if there's a change in zoning to their property. Clearly we're not going to have another rezone process until we readopt our comprehensive plan.
20 years?
No, it's 10.
10 years?
Or less. This was adopted in 2010. So my recommendation in the future for future boards of commissioners that are addressing this, that we notify anybody whose zoning is changed through the comprehensive rezone process. I think that's only fair.
Okay. Well, we have a first and a second for disapproval. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1.
That was for no demonstrated mistake.
Yes, no demonstrated mistake or no change in the character. I wrote that down, character in the area. Okay. Director Flanagan.
Mr. President, members of the board, there are 4 DPW-related action items on your agenda for this evening, and in addition, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to make a public service announcement at the conclusion of the action items. The first action item is a deed buy-in between Richmond American Homes of Maryland Incorporated and the Board of County Commissioners of Cecil County for the conveyance of Woodrow Lane and McCormick Drive in the Susquehanna Riverview development from the developer to the county, thus making them public roads. The staff of Development Services Division has inspected those roads and found them to be in good condition. The deed, as you'll recall, was introduced at your September 4th meeting. For a vote this evening, my recommendation to the board is to approve and accept this deed as presented.
Thank you. Members of the board, you've heard Director Flanagan read the background and right-of-way deed by and between Richmond American Homes of Maryland and Ward County Commissioners for Woodrow Lane and McCormick Drive in the community of Susquehanna Riverview. Entertain a motion on Director Flanagan's recommendation.
So moved.
Okay, motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Just a question. Was this area where the mailboxes were built on this road or next to this road or not? The masonry, the brick mailbox enclosures?
I'm not sure. It might be, but I am not sure.
Not the word.
We have first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Director Flanagan.
Thank you. The second agenda item this evening is a resolution to lower the speed limit on a portion of Muddy Lane from its current 35 miles an hour to 25 miles per hour. As you'll recall from our previous discussion on this topic, the current posted legally enforceable speed limit on the entire length of Muddy Lane is 35 miles per hour. There is an advisory speed limit through the railroad underpass portion of 15 miles per hour, but that is just advisory, that is not enforceable. This resolution proposes to lower the legal speed limit on the northern portion of Muddy Lane, in other words, the section under the railroad pass or underpass, from 35 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour, which is the lowest speed limit allowed by law on that type of a road. The resolution was introduced at your September 4th meeting for a vote this evening, and as it's written, it says that the effective date for this speed limit change would be October 1st, or as soon thereafter as we could get the appropriate signage in place. My recommendation to the board is that you approve this resolution as presented.
Thank you, sir. Members of the board, you heard Director Flanagan read the background of the resolution for the speed limit on Muddy Lane. His recommendation is for approval, and we'll entertain a motion on Director Flanagan's recommendation.
So moved.
A motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you. The third action item this evening is a contract award. This one is in response to bid 13-11, which is for the purchase of 3 wood chippers for the roads division of the Department of Public Works. As you might recall from our previous discussion on this topic, these 3 wood chippers will replace existing wood chippers which have reached the end of their useful life and need to be replaced. And funding for this purchase is included in the Roads Division's approved fiscal year 13 operating budget. The county purchasing agent opened bids for this procurement on August 28th with four proposals received. And after reviewing those proposals, we have determined that the proposal from Vermeer represents the best value to the county. And so my recommendation to the board this evening is that you award bid 13-11 for the purchase of 3 wood chippers to Vermeer for the total price of $114,558, which includes the purchase of the units as well as extended warranties for all 3.
Okay, thank you, sir. Members of the board, you heard Director Flanagan read the background for bid award 13-11. 3 each bandit model, 250 XP wood chippers, county approved equivalent. His recommendation is to award this bid to Vermeer, option A, for the BC 1200 XL models and the extended warranty. So we'll entertain a motion on that. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The fourth agenda item, which was a relatively late addition, is an emergency rental of a backup generator for use at the Northeast River Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant at Seneca Point. And I am appearing before the board this evening seeking two actions. First, that the board declare the situation to be an emergency, thereby allowing us to employ emergency contracting procedures. And second, that the board approve award of a contract for the rental of a backup generator. As you may or may not know, wastewater treatment plants consume a great deal of electricity in their operation. The county's main wastewater treatment plant at Seneca Point has a very large diesel-powered backup generator that's capable of powering the entire plant in the event that electrical service is disrupted. And in fact, electrical service is typically disrupted multiple times during the course of the year, and that backup generator is then placed into service and powers the plant. The backup generator is exercised weekly to ensure that it is operational and ready to go should the need arise. But during this week's routine exercising on Monday, the governor mechanism on the generator apparently failed, causing the generator to run away, so to speak, operating at significantly higher RPMs than it is designed to do, and it suffered some significant and potentially catastrophic damage. We've had our generator maintenance contractor on site today assessing it, and their assessment is ongoing. As a minimum, we're expecting that, or the best case scenario is major repairs would be required, which would likely take weeks. The worst case scenario is it's a total loss and would need to be replaced. We do not yet have that determination. Either way, we are currently without backup power at the wastewater treatment plant and are, again, likely to be that way for a minimum of several weeks, if not months. Now, that's a problem only if the power goes out, but we are in the middle of hurricane season and nobody can guarantee that the power isn't going to go out. And if it does go out, nobody can guarantee how long it's going to be until it comes back on. Now, my wastewater treatment plant operators tell me that the plant is likely to be okay for a period of about 24 hours without electricity, but that after that 24-hour period is up, then bad things are going to start to happen to that wastewater treatment plant. And when bad things start to happen to a wastewater treatment plant, it is no longer able to treat that sewage to the level required by its permit, and so the effluent that would be going out the pipe into the Northeast River and into the environment would be expected not to meet the conditions of the permit, which would not only be bad for the environment, but would also be expected to attract the attention of the Maryland Department of the Environment, and we would anticipate being subjected to regulatory enforcement action by the Maryland Department of the Environment, most likely including monetary penalties. Now, while we in the Department of Public Works have backup generators of varying types and sizes, we do not have anything that is remotely close to being able to power this wastewater treatment plant. And so we think it's prudent to rent a backup generator until such time as a permanent backup generator is either repaired or replaced. Now, I've mentioned the threat to the environment and the risk of regulatory violations, and when I consider those, in my mind, this constitutes an emergency. As you are probably aware, Section 183-3F of the County Code states that if a majority of the Board of County Commissioners votes to declare a situation an emergency, then expedited procurement procedures can be used as opposed to formally advertising the procurement. Now, we have gone and solicited quotations from 2 vendors for the provision of backup generator. So I've got that. So the first thing I'm asking the board to do is to declare the situation an emergency, and then assuming that a majority of the board concurs with that and so designates it, then the second task would be to award a contract for this backup generator. Now, my recommendation is that we would award that to Keystone Generators Incorporated, and the price which they have quoted to us is $26,017.12 for the first month, and then $23,205 for each month thereafter. Our objective, of course, would be to be without a permanent backup generator for as short a time as possible. But right now, I can't give a firm date, but my best guess is it's going to be at least weeks, if not months. So again, before the board, asking you to take two actions. One, declare it an emergency that would allow us to use these expedited procedures, and then two, approve award of this contract to Keystone Generators.
Mr. President?
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. Before we get into the emergency action, I think it'd be prudent if the board would take a vote in accordance with section 160-2A5, in which they need at least three commissioners to agree to put this on the agenda.
So we'll entertain a motion first to put this on the agenda since it was an emergency item. That'll be the first order of business in this process.
I move that we put the emergency backup generator rental on the agenda for Tuesday, September 28, 2012.
We have a motion to add it to the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I can appreciate that there are emergencies, but Director Flanagan, when did you first know about this? And could you have sent out an email to at least given us a heads up with some of this information prior?
I learned about it via text message yesterday morning, the fact that there was an issue with the generator. It wasn't until about midday today that we got the initial report back from the generator maintenance contractor that said this thing's got major issues and it's going to be down for weeks, if not months. So it was at that time and my staff then, once they reported that to me, recommended that we move to get a backup generator in place. So it was about midday today when we made the determination we need to get a rental in place. And I then called Al Wine and briefed him on the situation and requested that the matter be added to your agenda for this evening.
Well, I would encourage that emails would be sent out prior, even if we don't have a chance to see it, at least we have a chance to read about this and to, ponder what our questions are. That's a lot of money. $26,000 the first month and $25,000 thereafter, possibly. I understand, and it's only a backup generator to rent. Is that correct?
That's correct, but I'll point out that failure to meet permit standards at that wastewater treatment plant could be construed to be violations of the Clean Water Act, and I would submit that the potential monetary fines to which the county could be subjected will exceed those rental costs, not to mention the impact on the environment.
I understand that. I'm just saying this is a significant cost to the county. I would have liked a little bit more time, whatever time you had in advance. The previous thing that we had purchased, the wood chippers, there were warranties. Was there, hold on, was there a question? Excuse me. Why is there a rush on this? This is a discussion period.
Well, wait, all we're doing right now is to vote to put it on the agenda, then we're going to get into the discussion piece of the physical equipment next. So I just need a first and a second to put this on the agenda, and then we're going to move to take a vote. I'm just going to explain it to everybody. So there's two processes that have to happen
I
here.
can discuss this now, or I can discuss it later, that's fine.
Okay, let me just get it on the agenda first, because we
That's
only,
fine.
okay. So we have a first and a second to put it on the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries to put it on. Now, Mr. Wilson, legal piece now. I will take a vote with regard to taking emergency action. That would be that's my next vote, right? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to take a vote to take emergency action on this emergency generator rental for the Northeast River Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant. We have a motion to take emergency action. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion.
Okay. Did this generator have a warranty on it?
It did, but we're well beyond the warranty period. It's, I don't know its exact age, but it's in the 8 to 10 year range, well beyond the warranty.
Okay, and when is it on the, cycled in for the budget to be replaced?
It's not currently programmed to be replaced. In other words, this is an unanticipated event. It's not like it was nearing the end of its anticipated useful life and we had programmed to replace it. This is an unanticipated requirement.
Okay, and these are typically the questions that we ask during the work session, just gathering more information. Thank you.
So, we will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Did that cover both the declaration of emergency and the contract award, or was that the declaration of emergency?
Declaration of emergency now.
Okay. Yes, now the next step, I'm before you asking that you approve award of this contract to Keystone Generator for rental of an emergency, or for the backup generator.
That's correct. I take 3 votes and we're on the 3rd now. So we're in the home stretch. So, okay, so we'll entertain a motion to contract with Keystone Generators for the emergency generator rental for the Northeast River Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant.
And for clarification, is it for 1 month or for 2?
It will be for as long as is needed. It's my expectation it will be for at least 1 month, but you know, we'll keep it for as long as we need it. But again, our goal will be to keep it for as short a time as possible. In other words, we will move as rapidly as we can to get the permanent backup generator either repaired, rebuilt, or replaced. So right now, I can't tell you the exact duration of this rental.
It could go on for several months if the current generator that's blown up is determined to be garbage and needs to be replaced. And if we're going to follow normal bidding process, it could take at least 2 months just to advertise it and get new bids.
That's true.
And how much is a new generator? Average?
6 figures.
6 figures, probably a couple $100,000.
So we'll entertain a motion to award this to Keystone Generator on the recommendation of Director Flanagan. So we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion?
Not a discussion, but just a request, Director Flanagan, that you would keep us informed as to the status of the diagnosis of the generator.
Sir.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you. Okay.
I'd like to say something also, and I feel Commissioner Brummel's pain. I'm angry that bad things have happened. Unfortunately, it's not Department of Public Works' fault. It's not our fault. This is mechanical equipment that has the opportunity to fail, and it did. And so I'm disappointed that it did. You know, it would have been interesting to see if we could have had the vendor that did the maintenance on it in the future, maybe supply a backup generator if it's out of service for X number of days. It'd be interesting if they would bid on that type of service.
Okay, and just to clarify, I hope it didn't come across that I was angry at the generator breaking, just like the opportunity if it avails itself that we are informed prior
Well,
to the commissioner.
it's a good lesson moving forward. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you'll bear with me for another 90 seconds, I'd like to make my public service announcement, and it pertains to the upcoming Household Hazardous Waste Day. The Solid Waste Management Division of the Cecil County Department of Public Works will conduct our fall
Household Hazardous Waste Day at the Cecil County Central Landfill on Sunday, October 7th, from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And during that time, Cecil County residents can bring in residential quantities of household hazardous waste, such as old paint, paint thinner, gasoline, kerosene, pool chemicals, insecticides, pesticides, whatever they've got. They can bring that into the landfill for proper disposal at no charge. Trash, however, will not be accepted at that time. And again, as we have for the last 5 years or so, we are partnering with the Cecil County Sheriff's Office to collect unwanted, unneeded, and expired medications. So I would encourage residents to clear out the medicine cabinet of those materials and bring them into the landfill on that day to be turned over to the Sheriff's Office for proper disposal. If residents have any questions, they can consult the Solid Waste Management Division portion of the county website, or else call Solid Waste Management Division at 410-996-6275. Thank you.
Thank you, that's sir. Your department's always Johnny on the spot now. Okay, we'll go to budget amendments. Mr. Vaughn.
Mr. President, members of the board, there are 4 budget amendments for your consideration this evening. The first amendment appropriates funding for the part-time contractual position of case manager. That's for the child support initiative that Judge Whalen presented at our work session last Tuesday. The county share is $13,779. The next amendment establishes the initial budget for a grant for the purchase of a live scan machine, and that's at the detention center, in the amount of $26,000. The next budget amendment establishes the FY 2013 initial budget for live scan fees and expenses. That's within law enforcement in the amount of $400. And the last budget amendment appropriates Cecil County Public Schools other state and federal revenue in the amount of $813,769 for the months of May and June 2012.
Okay, thank you, sir. Members of the board, here, Mr. Vaughn, read the budget amendments, and we'll entertain a motion to accept the budget amendments as read. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a second.